Močálem se blíží, Jožin zvážin, k vesnici se blíží, Jožin zvážin. Pražáky jmenuje se Jožin, Jožin.
Maybe he should be taken to a doctor.
As soon as possible, as soon as possible.
Through the ranks as a gaffer, you know, it's like, oh yeah, call Wolfie, he's the best, you know.
Yeah, I just feel like calling you DJ Wolfie, to be honest with you.
Yeah, no problem.
I mean, we originally met at the okay, real quick, what do you do exactly, and explain to the people what you do, and then I kind of want to digress and tell you where I met you.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, no problem. So, and focusing on the cinematography that I'm doing nowadays. So that's my main jam.
Nice.
So I'm a cinematographer, and what I do is a cinematographer is the person that's in charge of both the camera and the lighting on the film set. There's a power trio that's the producer, the director, and then the director of photography. And the producer is in charge of the money. They get the money, and then they are in charge of the crew. And then the director is in charge of the artistic choices, and they get the cast. And then the cinematographer sits on the triangle, balancing both of those concerns. The cinematographer brings a lot of creativity. Hey, why don't we go a little lower here? It'll make him look more imposing. Why don't we look downward here? And it'll make, you know, the salesperson feel smaller and weaker because it fits the emotions of the scene, right? Or the director will be like, hey, I want to do this like big opening thing. And the cinematographer is like, all right, we'll get a techno crane, and then it'll come down, and then we'll design the shot, hand off to a Steadicam, and we'll go to there. But also the director of photography has conversations like, you know, Porta-Jib's really a lot cheaper, and we only have $1,000 in the budget for the crane for that day. If we had $3,000, I could get a techno crane. We could do it all in one and save half a day. Or we could spend the $1,000 you have, and I can have an extra grip or two that's an extra $500. So it's really going to be $2,000 by the time you're done, and it's going to take us all day because we have to build it, roll around, strike it. And then the producer will be like, oh, that's worth the money to spend on the more expensive toy, or like, look, all I got's $1,000, take it or leave it. You know, it's like, sure, we'll take it. You know, so we have those kind of conversations, and that's sort of the grind and the artistry of it, you know, balancing budgets and creativity, you know.
Nice. And when okay, now that we've established who you are, I want to go back in time a little bit, because I know you from the Moon Tribe days.
Yep.
And the ecstasy-filled days.
Yeah, party days.
If there's nothing off topic you don't want me to tell me, just say.
All good. It's all good. Everybody knows my secret identity is DJ Wolfie. I'd show up on sets on Monday, and they'd be like, "What'd you do this weekend? Where were you? Oh my God, I can't believe your life." I'm like, a hobby.
Am I right? Or were we at the Moon Tribe days, and then that kind of spilled over into downtown parties?
Yeah. The Hip Genesis parties and the Do Lab parties and Space party. Island. Yeah. And then the Steampunk Saloon stuff later. And it was definitely like, Moon Tribe. And then what was the other one? The one Kehlani ran that was like integral gatherings.
Oh, yes.
Integrals? Yeah. They're like, those were fun. Like, you know, 50 people in the woods.
Yeah. I remember that. I think the last one I saw you and Kehlani was a house in downtown, and I had a conversation with this guy who had like a fake eye, and he is bald, and he is a slave to this dominatrix that owned the house.
Yes, that was, I believe, a Hip Genesis party I threw. I remember that guy. She would make him wear an adult diaper, and then she'd pour cayenne pepper in it and make him run around.
Man.
One of the best tour guys I've ever had.
He seemed super happy about it. He seemed like that was his job. That was all good. It's like, whatever she wants me to do, I do.
Yeah, I think it's Mistress Belladonna or something like that.
Shit.
Someone's,
Ah.
I remember that house. I remember talking her into letting me throw parties there. Those were some of the first events I threw. You know,
Holy shit.
dragging all these ravers into this just grimy dungeon. It was like
Holy
that
shit.
3-story Victorian house that had like cages on the second floor. Like all the ravers were like, "Whoa, well, we're partying."
I know. God almighty. Jeez. I'm still friends with Kaylani. You still keep in touch with Kaylani?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh
Hey,
yeah. Love her.
Kaylani, how you doing
Hi,
out there?
Kalani. Beautiful as ever. She's got a picture of Dorian Gray aging in a closet because she looks as gorgeous as she was then.
Yeah.
You
She
know?
never. She had good.
She was always the most beautiful woman in the room, and she never. She was very. She like I don't know. She, like I was like, no, really, you're the prettiest woman in the room. Like you're just gorgeous.
Yeah.
She's such a good soul, such a kind spirit. You know. Yeah, she works with kids now and like posts the photos with the kids that she works with, and it's super cute. You know, she's always got that lovely energy.
And so when did you start getting into cinematography?
So my life is run on two parallel tracks. I've always since I was like 26 or so, I started on film sets in LA with Michel Gondry and Spike Jonze. And so it was like carrying sandbags around, setting C-stands. So it was one of the grips. And it was great. It was like, I loved it. I learned a lot. But I always felt like the film industry is so fun, but also if you're not careful, it'll eat you alive. And then all of a sudden you're a two-dimensional person who eats off of paper plates in parking lots, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, 7 days a week. So at some point I was like, okay, I'm committing to having some art in my life. I went to Burning Man and was like, I need a freaking hobby. I need something to make me a little bit more of a whole rounded person. And I discovered music. And so one of my things as a person is I love technology and I love what you can emote and emotionally get out of a technology. So, when I was a teenager, I was a hacker. So it was like, I loved computers, but I loved doing illicit things, breaking in. And I ended up getting recruited by NASA at 16. And then I worked for NASA as breaking into computers and doing white hat hacking. So, I've always been creative. I've always networked. I've always known people who knew people so I was always up to interesting things. So I did my film career, and I'd work 3 or 4 days a week. And then I would go do my DJing on the weekends. So, I would take Friday off or I would take Monday off and then I would travel and play a festival. And I love the joy that people had when they would dance. I loved that, I would drag all this crazy electronics with me, or I'd sit at home and make a synth line and add it to a song and do a remix and take something that was familiar and then punch it up with a good beat and then drop it on a crowd. And they just the look of people's faces when they get a new remix that they weren't expecting. And I don't know. I loved it. I love people having fun. And yeah. And I do the same thing now. Cinematography, we use high-end technical gear in very, very creative ways. And much like a good synth audio where you intentionally destroy the quality of the audio in a distorted, interesting way, we'll do the same thing with lights or with the quality of an image to give the grain that's the truth of that grittiness of that story, right? Mm-hmm. So I love that. I love the creativity of technology.
And where do you since the media is sort of in this warp change, I'm a filmmaker too, and I've been shooting stuff all my life, from regular 8 to Super 8 to 16 to Super 16 to now I got this beautiful Sony AS7 III.
Those are amazing.
Yeah, I love that camera, and I've been shooting a lot of stuff over the summer, and I'm putting it together, and spent time editing with my editor, and now I'm editing a lot more. But where do you see? Do you have any predictions on what platforms? Because are the theaters dead? Or is Netflix and where do you see this going? Can you make some predictions on how you've seen it develop and where it's at and where it's going to go? As far as platform wise, media wise, everyone's got a podcast. Everyone's got the technology to have their own TV shows. Where are we?
So I would say that, when you talk the film world, your first thing in 2020 is we're back into the age of cable. So people that were alive in the 80s and remember cable, you would pay for the basic cable and they'd come and install a box, and then you'd pay 10 or 15 bucks a channel and you'd rack up an $80 bill a month, and you'd have Cinemax, or you'd have HBO, or you'd have like Stars, or you'd pay for the ESPN sports channels, and you kind of just ordered everything off a menu. And then that kind of fell away, internet, blah, 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 and now we're back to it. And it's cable again. We've got internet. That's the basic cable. You pay for your internet. So that's 50 bucks a month. And then you're paying 15 bucks for Netflix and 10 bucks for Disney Plus to watch The Mandalorian. And you're paying if you like TV, you will pay for Hulu. So we're back to the 80s model, right? Lots of content providers vying for content. The cost of entry for making a feature or making a TV show is plummeted. You with that A7 can produce and a couple of lights that are 200 bucks off of Amazon. You could just literally, if you had a good group of theater actors that really knew their acting chops, if you had even just a halfway decent script, you could make a movie that would look like a Hollywood produced movie. Now where it falls apart a bit is, color timing, matching, audio design, like people don't understand how much money gets spent on the audio process.
It's giant. Audio is a giant, massive thing.
Black hole. It's a black hole of it's where money goes to die, Yeah, where indie films go to where fun goes to die is the audio on indie films. Mm-hmm. So, but if you do it right, you pay the money to a good sound guy and lav them up right and just pay the money. You can really make anything. So you can create any content you want. Now, and the joke is, hi, this is Netflix. Your project's been approved. Who you may say is calling? They'll buy stuff. It's the trick is monetizing it, right? So, and we're in the Wild West right now. Like in 2020, all of the big agents have just died on the vine. So, Hollywood's like a bomb's gone off. We're back, we're shooting, we have COVID protocols, we wear masks. I was working on Shameless for 3 days. And it's like PCR testing 3 times a day. So they're figuring out how to shoot, right? But there's the sky's the limit. I think we're gonna see a vacuum, and I think we're gonna see like things where, indie films where an indie musician can just produce their own album in the 90s and it's good, and they don't need the studio to front $200,000 in engineers. And then you had Bandcamp that came up where people were like going directly to the people, the artists were directly selling to their fans. That's going to start happening with film, I think. You got this the guy from, what was that, he's playing like Lex Luthor, and then the show got canceled. And that's the kind of thing where an actor with 3 years of salary from a TV show will be able to just be like, screw it, I'm going to continue the show. Like David Hasselhoff did that with Baywatch in the 90s. They were going to cancel it, and he's like, I'm buying it. And he spent like millions of dollars and just bought the IP and was like, screw it, I'm just going to make it. And he made so much money because he just took the chance on himself, made a great show, and it just blew up. So I think you're going to start seeing actors. Maybe you're going to start seeing projects that normally would die because of the studio, but that will continue having a life. Shows like what was it? Not Exposure, but it's a sci-fi show that it's about like the solar system, right? And it takes place 200 years from now, whatever. And it was on a channel, and then it got canceled, and then it got picked up by Amazon. So you're seeing a thing where it's all about the intellectual property now.
You're talking about Raised by Wolves.
Not Raised by Wolves. It was Exposure, Existence. It's an E word. I'm totally drawing a blank on it. Okay. I'll think of it when I'll come back to it. But so IPs have a life of their own. You know, there's also like, you know, you're seeing a lot of actors do their own show, like where they're doing a little comedy sketch. You know, there's that one woman who, you know, she talks to herself in the mirror and puts her little mustache makeup on, and her drunk self in the mirror is talking to her. There's a lot of stars that are like kind of making a niche for themselves with at-home filming, you know, so it's kind of the Wild West right now, and kind of anything can happen, you know. It's just the trick is monetizing it. You know, the structures are starting to form. You see a lot of people making stuff for YouTube, and like there's YouTube creators that are making millions of dollars a month, but then they, you know, get disbanded, or like, oh, you know, you're a little too all normal, but like, you know, you get people getting banned. So like, you know, there's some nut jobs out there that make it hard for other people. So, you know, it's weird for content creators to rely on YouTube, and then they can get, you know, say the wrong thing or come off as too religious or not religious enough, or whatever trips the algorithm to delist them. You know, it's a strange time period, you know.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see who there needs to be a YouTube 2.0 that's more like Patreon, where, you know, the users just create their content and just, you know, do their thing. You know, you're so at the mercy of the big giants when you rely on YouTube's algorithm to provide your money for your show. You know, it's so unpredictable.
Yeah, I have a buddy that's a producer director for he has a deal with Lionsgate. And you know, I got this dark comedy that's I swear to God, it's solid. I wrote it with my writing partner on the thing. It's called Return to Sender.
Yeah,
it's a great dark comedy, and I've approached some actors about it to be in it. But what is this is my definitive. What is the trick? Because I've asked other producers that are actually working and do, but like to get a budget, and it'd be my first feature, but I've done filming, you know, all my life. But what is a trick with getting the budget? Because you can't have a budget without the star, and you can't get the star without the budget. What is the magic wand that makes that happen?
The producer.
You got to get a good.
It's the magic of the producer. The producer knows the money people, and he knows the creative people. So the producer knows that they're looking for a female-driven character who needs to be, you know, between 16 and 30, right? And so they've got, you know, the money will see other things make money, and then the money will want to make money copying those other things, right? So the money will see value in spending. Well, you know, you can come with 5 amazing scripts and one that's just like a throwaway, and the money might just be like, that's an Adam Sandler movie. We can do that for $80 million. We're going to make 134 to 250 million on it, and it'll play in the Midwest, and everyone's going to love it, and no one in LA or New York's ever going to see it. You know, but like, you know, he's a really good example of like how money in Hollywood and acting, you know, Adam Sandler has a niche that he's in. All of his movies are made for 60 to 80 million dollars, and they all gross 134 million on the low side and 250 million on the upside. So people just make Adam Sandler movies all day long, every day. Like the money will just come out for that. If you had a good success, but then your last movie was a flop, it can be hard to get money again. You know, Mike Myers was like crushing it for years, and he came out with one bad movie, like Love Guru, and he didn't work for a decade. 10 years they sidelined him. Hey, like that dude made really good movies. I mean, he was funny, right? It's like, whatever, you know, he fit his niche, right? You know, it's like, great, you know, but so you need money, like, you know, or you need an angel investor that believes in the product. So, you know, if you've got a movie that's, you know, got a certain angle that somebody wants to see more of in the world, you know, the Christian crowd, you know, they were coming out and doing movies in the 2000s, 2010s, right? Like they would get together, you know, a couple $1 million to make a low budget feature. And then they'd get like, you know, Nicolas Cage was in one of them, where they're like, we want people to just believe in Christianity. So we're going to do this like subtle sci-fi thing, and you're not going to find out it's aliens and Christ until the end, you know?
Yeah. Scientology.
So Yeah. Yeah, they were doing like those crypto Christian movies. Surfer Girl was like one of those. Like it was Christian money that came in, and like it's a really good heartfelt family story. But she gets through it with Christianity,
Yeah.
you know. So like that having that element in that movie got the funding for that movie, right? So same kind of thing. You know, somebody just has like we
Yeah.
I did a Native American feature at one point, you know, and like, Native American money and funds came out, and, that's good stuff because it was a movie that really should be made. And it's a voice that was definitely, especially at that time period in the late 90s, Kusha Kwan, it was a voice that was underrepresented in the media sphere. There wasn't very many Native American voices. So, it's good. It's good that it was a specific topic, and it's good that like, certain funds were there that were designed for that community. So that's where you get creative with the financing for your project. Or I've seen actors self-produce, right? You get a great script, you get 5 or 10 actors. It's a ensemble cast, and then everybody kicks in $5,000.
Yeah.
And then you've got, 30, 40, 50 grand. You've got a cinematographer who owns his own camera. You got a $300 a day sound guy, and you've got a Best Boy Electric who really wants to be a gaffer, so he's going to come work for $100 a day and gaff instead of 500.
Yeah.
So, and then you've got your indie film, right? And then the 5 actors all have like a real credit, and they have a real movie, and then you can shop it around or do the indie film scene, or release it in 20-minute episodes on YouTube, or they do all sorts of creative things. But it's just whatever you can do to get the money.
Yeah, Kaylee Cuckoo or Coco is doing that. Did that with the recent film she did, called The Flight Attendant.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I didn't see that. Is it any good?
I haven't seen it, but she produced. She came on as producer and got that made. Yeah. And I don't know. I haven't researched it too much. I haven't seen it. I'm more of a, I'm finding more. I'm watching so much on podcasts and shorts and stuff like that. And my attention span for actually a feature film is very short right now because everything is so entertaining, and I'm finding out so much more information. And I don't want to, you can go to that whole thing with, I don't want to make a Hollywood movie. I want to make the movie that it is, and if you try to go up against that, saying, look, I can make a movie just like you, but with half the budget, it's like, well, then, if they can be just made by anybody, then where's the specificity, or the creative difference, with getting, I know, your voice out there with a property, I say property, with a property that is unique and exciting and new, and not just a cookie cutter piece of bullshit.
Yeah. I think what you speak to is the essence of all artists. Trevor Moontribe's a buddy of mine, the guy through all those Moontribe parties ages ago. I actually have his record collection. I have all the Moontribe records. When Trevor moved out of town, I waved some cash under his nose for his records, and I was like, why don't you store them at my house? So, he would talk about like the spark of a party. Right. So like if some guy rolls into town and it's just like, I want to like charge $5 a water, and, I'm going to hire a couple DJs, and I don't care what the experience is like, that spark is why those parties were terrible. And the Moontribe party, which was, we're autonomous collective. We just believe in music and outdoors, and we just don't want to we're just going to set up a pair of speakers in a box canyon in Joshua Tree. That's a really pure spark of like real musicians and real dance floors and people just really having a very authentic moment that it's not commodifiable. The Moontribe parties was a societal, social event. It was magic. You can't, it just wasn't, so the same thing's true with an art piece, with a movie, right? So if you're the reason you're telling the story is a burning thing to do and come out, if the video, if it's a little rough around the edges, technically, if that spark is there and it's in the person's heart, and as a human, you watch it and you get an emotional hit from it where you were like, oh, I feel what they're doing here. Like, oh, I'm in this moment. Oh, that script was like, that's awesome. They mixed up the act structure a bit, or they did something that's like not Hollywood would never let it pass. And suddenly you've got amazing self-expression, and then it lives in its niche, it's like, then it's entertaining and it's fulfilling to make it, and it's fulfilling to watch it. So,
and it's good.
Yeah. The passion's super important, and I think a good spark will carry a project through the difficulties of making it.
Yeah. The cream will rise to the top, and the material you should trust the material itself, because I mean, I just not disenchanted or whatever, but like I believe so heartedly in this Return to Sender project, and I know that the jokes are good. I know it's original, and I've already had jokes taken out of it twice by two different filmmakers used to make a film. I won't throw anybody underneath the bus or anything. That's not what I'm here to do. But it's going to be interesting because I know I'm going to make this movie. But the field that you have to travel to get there, I mean, you don't need a lot of people. You just need the right people, like a right producer and those right. And when that locks in place, boy, does that feel good. Even on the smaller projects, when you get everybody on the set and they're all there for a purpose, and when you let that, when you have all the pieces in play, and then you let the machine turn on, and everyone just do what they do, that was so good.
Yeah, it's amazing. Have you thought about shooting a teaser of it?
I have.
Take like 3 minutes. Take the best 3 minutes. You know what I mean? And just like, and then that way too, like, the thing with comedy is it's very actor driven, right? And comedy is all about timing and connotation and inflection. So the comedy scripts are the hardest scripts to read. So, like, and so you like, if you're able to like, get something together, then you can go to money people and you have a little bit more to show. It shows you've got, because really then what you're advertising is you're selling both the cast and the script. Even if it's an unknown or a lesser known, at least that person can carry the project forward.
Yeah.
It's attached to it. You give the person, a backup role, or, just, people get you to certain stages of the process, but then that way with the comedy, they can hear the tone, right? Because there's so many different styles of comedic tone.
Yeah.
And then and everybody has their niche, which they like.
And dark comedy is really like to do it good. That's the Coen Brothers, Raising Arizona. You got some David Lynch. Do it well, because it's a very narrow margin to get that.
Oh yeah.
I think the jokes are so fucking good and the pacing is so good. I wrote it with a friend of mine, Steve Oakes, who's a comedy writer. He did stand up for 25 years.
I think I've heard his name. I remember his name. I think I've seen him. Yeah, he used to do stand up.
Yeah, he went under Steve O a long time ago when he was doing stand up. But back in, he won America he won against Martin Lawrence on that McMahon show early.
Yes.
Really cool. But all the jokes and the pacing are there. And Steve Odekirk was originally supposed to produce it. The guy that wrote Patch Adams and Ace Ventura 2. And anyways, he gave me the computer to write the movie with. And he ended up using a couple jokes for Ace 2. And then anyways, but
laptop rental.
What I wanted to do is have get a job out of it, or get him to produce it, but that never happened. And I haven't talked to him in 20 years, but boy, that movie, I swear. I mean, I thought about doing a trailer for it, but it's also a period piece. It takes place at the Venice Post Office, that Venice Circle.
Oh, cool. That's a great idea.
Yeah, it takes place there in 1999. I wrote this.
Oh, that's a cool idea. I like that. I like that as a setting. You know what I mean? That's
it's a dog afternoon. It's a dog afternoon meets Fellini meets David Lynch. It's sort of like Killing Zoe template.
What's his name? Huffing nitrous. Yeah, Dennis Hopper in Blue Velvet.
Oh God.
It's Venice Beach. You gotta make something weird with it, right?
Well, but the thing, the physics of it, if you adhere to the physics of it, and don't outside of the physics of whatever you're doing, then it remains like contained, and that's where it pops. And like,
dude, you could, that's a great setting. That's because you're really you for filming it, logistically, if it's taking place inside one set that you can just build on a set anywhere, even, and the other thing is shooting out of town on a stage, you can get things in a completely different price range. So like having just like an interior set like that for 90% of the film, and then 1 or 2 days where it's modern day Venice with a couple of lock-offs with like some go back in time CGI, you could make a world that would totally be its own little bubble.
Or even just like taking over a building in Bakersfield, just taking over,
absolutely,
and then just putting everybody there and shooting for 20 days, and then I'd like
of a post office, and post offices are sadly closing because of the whole defunding them that happened, and this is a perfect time to do it.
Center has always been relevant. I made it to be timeless, and it's still as relevant without giving too much away. It's actually as relevant more as it was. It was timeless, and I like that. It's. I mean, this is the first impetus, or was Oklahoma City bombing. That's when that was part of that, and that actually to go back in time is I actually want to start the movie like 1999, A More Innocent Time. Y2K was the craziest shit that was happening at the time. So there's
the computers. They've only got 2 digits for the year. So, bro.
Yeah.
So they're gonna all die in Truth Gang. Yeah. All the preppers were buying generators.
The nostalgia is there. We're seeing like a it's such a good movie. Anyways, I'm gonna make it. If you want to see a script, I'll send it to you, just for shits and giggles. But
send me down the script. You know what we should really do is get you connected with one of the first things I shot this year was Laugh Lounge, which is a comedy show. So I have a bunch of comedian friends. So we should try and get it connected to a particular comedian that would be really good for one of the lead roles.
I have 2 that I want. I already sent him the script. Yeah. Kyle Dunningham.
Yeah.
And Annie Lederman. I think that'd be great as the 2. It's an ensemble cast, but I have it, and Kyle's got it. I was on his Craig's News Live a couple times, and Homestone so I got on his podcast. Anyways, they sent me something, so I sent it to him. This is a Brett Woods exclusive. He's got it. I know he's got it, but he'd be perfect for it, and he's in the same wheelhouse as that. So we'll see if that ends up to fruition. But I mean, it's such a, you got to play it straight. You got to make it look real. So it's like, I don't want I don't want any eye rolls or shit like that. This isn't Cannonball Run. This is like, you got to make it real, or the jokes aren't going to come off. Right. That's where I'm coming from. It's almost like basically the movie, without pitching it too much to you, is a trashy romance novel.
That sounds fun.
That's basically what the movie is.
Yeah.
And the physics of that will wrap it around that. If I can stay within that, and I know the material better than anybody. If you're out there, Annie Lederman, I've been trying to get a hold of you. I know you know Kyle. He's got a copy of the script. Anyways, I'm a big fan of both of them, and I think the magic would be there. I see them. So those would be my first. But if anybody that wants to help out, I'll send it to you, and if bells ring off in your head, please. The script is solid enough where we can go and deviate and come back to it. The jokes are there. Beat, joke, beat. I want joke. Even like when I met,
like the pedigree of the people you were talking about that were involved in it. You know what I mean? Like the writing is, if you have like somebody who's like pounding out jokes for 20 years, that's somebody who really knows timing and comedy and writing. So
yeah. So where do you want to go from here with your career?
I'm kind of going two tracks. I'm shooting some IMAX documentaries. So I'm shot on IMAX. We're halfway through. We were shooting in Tanzania. It's called Wings Over Tanzania. So up through March, I was in Tanzania traveling around, shooting this kind of like Nat Geo style documentary. It was it was an interesting project. So I love that. I love adventure cinematography. I'm very good at it. I'm very good at like high tech stuff. But the music video days showed me how to film fast and very lean. Like here, B camera, go get us this shot. You have 8 hours. You got to be back by 6 p.m. and get 32 shots and be me and like the B camera guy, and so there's all these little tips and tricks to like how to be lean and film pro. So I'm really good at that. I'm really good at that kind of like lean crews, indie films. Like I can light big Hollywood lighting style out of smaller instruments because I was a gaffer for 15 years. So I know set lighting really well. And then I've done a lot of high-end beauty lighting. I was with Milk Studios in Hollywood here, and they would always hire me to light the video or film part of the shoot to look like the stills campaign. So I ended up spending years working with some of the best stills lighting people in the world. And I learned a lot about how their techniques of approaching lighting, they're very different worlds, cinema lighting and stills lighting, very, very different mindset, different approaches, different methodology. So I steal some of that methodology for cinema for that. So, and then I do high-end beauty pieces. I just shot a jewelry commercial. I shoot a lot of toy commercials, beautiful, bright, properly lit, poppy colors, so I've got a really wide array of what I do, but I really would love to shoot a series and get another feature going. I've done a ton of green screen work over the years. I worked for a green screen special effects house. I've done cinematography for houses like Technicolor, doing like prototyping new cinema techniques. So I'm under NDAs for a lot of things where I know of technology that we could go get for a feature that producers don't know about yet because they're not out yet talking about it. Mm-hmm. So, but I'm in that crowd. I'm very nerdy. So I get asked by special effects teams, like, can you come and spend a day designing a lighting setup? We need it to test, weather effects. We need to test 3D modeling. We need to test this. So I'm really right in all of those kind of things. So I would be a very good fit for a special effects movie. Mm. I've been using the video wall that's similar to the one the Mandalorian uses, right? So I knew when that tech was being built, and I knew who was building it, and I knew which Unity versus Unreal engines, which group we're using and having success with. So that's where I'm going to really start shining. I think that's where my career's headed.
Yeah, that's like what? Okay, so what would you have liked to have known that you wish you had known before you started doing that other people should know before they start?
Yeah, the thing about cinematography, and it really applies to any of the conversations we've had, being a musician, being a DJ, being a screenwriter, right? These are experiential processes. And the sooner you just start churning it out, turn on the engine, go film something, edit it, kick it out, come up with an excuse and then scrap together $500 from your buddy who owns the auto part and go shoot it on an A7, rent it. You gotta it's not, these aren't things you go to class for. It's not something you watch a YouTube video on. It's experiential. So, as a songwriter, it's better to write 99 songs. Like I'm going to write one song a week for the next 10 weeks, right? Kick out 10 songs. Don't worry. Doesn't matter if they're good. Just do it. Just complete it, right? You will learn what is good and how to be good by making 10. And then you give one guy, say, make one song that's great over the next 10 weeks. That song's not going to be as good. It's not trying to make the perfect thing right now. It's just get moving and start learning. And you figure to be a good cinematographer, you're going to have to make 500 really painful mistakes on the way there. Oh shit, I filmed it in 1080p instead of 4K because I didn't check my menu. Oh shit, I left the media back at the house. And now I have a 128 gig card. I can film for 8 minutes and then download and then 8 minutes and I look like a jackass. None of that's happened to me because I had good ACs, but like stuff like that where you're just like, oh yeah, did I remember to put the rails for the Dana Dolly in the car? No. I'm going to go handheld on this, but fortunately I've done music videos. So I know the stance that they use to do good handheld, So, like, yeah. So you just got to get out there. You got to make your mistakes and then, you move forward.
Yeah. The experience is in the doing. And that's also where the fun is too.
And it never stops. I had the pleasure of being asked to light Roger Deakins. And Roger Deakins shot, Blade Runner 2049. He just won the Academy Award for 1917. Did he win the Academy Award for that? I should actually look that up. I
think he did. Yes.
Yeah, I think he won for Blade Runner. I think he also won for 1917.
Yeah.
So I got the honor to light him. They were doing a still shoot for the Hollywood Reporter, but they were cinematographers that we were lighting. They were all the guys up for cinematography awards for the Academy Awards. So they wanted cinematic lighting. So I got asked to come in and do cinematic lighting for the people that are like my biggest heroes, Like I'm a huge fan of Deakin's work. I think he's an amazing cinematographer, shadows and lights and custom lenses designed, that kind of thing. So we asked him, we're like, hey, how did you feel about Blade Runner 2049? And it's a spectacular movie. If you haven't seen it, like he's got these whole sets going. Oh yeah.
One of the most beautiful films in years.
It really is spectacular and very simple lighting rigs. He did a circle with 1K pars and just had a nice fade going, but it was, it's a simple rig, but he's the did it. And he made it look amazing. So we asked him like, how do you feel? And he goes, I've seen it 147 times. All I can see are my mistakes. So everybody's always learning, like it never stops. You never reach that magic point. There's no magic budget where all of a sudden, oh, I'm Roger Deakins now. I've got all the time and the money in the world.
Yeah.
It's like, no, he's like, we showed up on set for Jesse James and the train was like a 3/4 scale model. So I had to like get really low and we're like, let's just film it at night instead of the daytime. And
That's the art tour. How to make that look as best as it possibly can. The reality of it.
Yeah, you'll always need more money. You'll always need more days. You'll always need more lights.
Yeah. How okay, I don't want to go over too much in time, but have you been affected by the COVID at all?
So I got COVID coming back from Tanzania. A woman on the plane was not wearing a mask and just gassed the whole plane. I could hear her doing the COVID cough up into my left. I got COVID. My buddy who was to the right of me, we were in business class. And so he had the little wall. He was just far enough away where my 3 other friends didn't get it, but I was inside her little circle of 6 feet. And she totally gassed me with COVID. So I had COVID for about a month in March. And it was not fun, but I didn't end up going to the hospital. Haven't had any permanent injury from it. So
did you how did you get better from it?
Somewhat amusingly, I'd also come down with malaria in Tanzania. So I was on hydrochloroquine when I got the COVID, and then that turned out to be bunk. But yeah, so I actually was on
It's a good thing you got
hydrochloroquine.
malaria.
Yeah. But yeah, it worked great on the malaria. It got rid of the malaria really fast, which was good. But yeah, so, but then, COVID just nuked our industry, like April, May, June, July. I mean, I shot one music video, I shot one commercial, and, usually I'm shooting 3 or 4 times a week. And, like I'm out, I shoot a lot. So it was weird.
Do you think movie theaters are going to come back?
I don't know, man. I think something's going to come back, but I think it's going to be like, I think like 8 out of 10 theaters are probably going to be gone, but there'll be one theater. It's totally that death knell though, because COVID was like that last rotting leg of cinema going out to the movies. I mean, it crumbled it. And it's like, people's TVs are beautiful at home and it's safe. And, like it's a weird world out there. Money's tight. So dad's already spending $80 on Netflix and the internet. So why go spend another 40 for, you got 100 movies on, right? Yeah, I think they should just go over to streaming. I think they should just, I should just be able to pay $20. I have a video projector and a nice set of speakers. I'd rather just pay $20 and have 4 friends over and watch a movie as much as deal with, crowds and, but I don't know. I think we are also in times where you're not allowed to go out and you're not allowed to have those experiences. The second like COVID really is handled and managed, I think we're going to see a huge explosion of everybody wanting to do everything, because we'll be so pent up.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see what happens. I mean, we're in that like you said at the beginning, and we're in that, the early where it's like back to cable, and now we're kind of going. But if we kind of dissect the timeline of what has happened since then, we could probably apply that template to what's going to be happening. And I think
one of the things that's clearly happening right now is subscription fatigue. All the IP is like, you got to pay my $10. You need to pay my $10. And it's like, I don't give a fuck about anything else on that channel. I'm not going to pay just to see that one thing. And, now Netflix is, movies are basically your roommate's VHS collection from the 80s. They've got nothing. It's all, they're just a content creator channel now. They're like a network. They spent $15 billion making original content. So they're just they're a creator. They're no longer, they were a streaming service, but now they're really, they're just another studio like Paramount or Warner Brothers and Netflix, Mm-hmm. So it's weird. And then it's a pain in the neck to get at the content. It's like you try and search and it's like, where do I find that? Which streaming service is it on? It's kind of like what happened used to be you just had like the phone and you had to catch the person when they were home. And then it's like an answering machine. Now it's like, I've got Messenger, I've got Slack, I've got text, did you freaking take a screenshot and carrier pigeon it to me?
If you don't answer your phone call, they're like, why don't you answer your phone call? People are expecting an immediate kick right there. They're like, well, I'm doing something. I don't have my phone on me all the time.
Like you messaged me and then you texted me about the message that you want me to ignore you twice to make it really awkward.
I had to, when we were setting this up, it took me a few minutes to figure out which way we were connecting. Through text or through Instagram or through Facebook. And right. I was like, what are you? What are you fucking like? I was like, what the
it's so rugged, right?
You texted me with your phone number. I was like, what? Come on. So let's try to wrap this up here soon.
Yeah.
How can people see your stuff? What do you want them to know? How can people see what and get to know you and maybe get DJ sometime and your Instagrams, your whatever, your websites and all that stuff?
Yeah. If you want to see some of the work I've done, the Wolfie, DOP.com, WOLFIE, and then DOP, director of photography, .com. And then Instagram, I'm Wolfie Dreams, WOLFIE, and then Dreams. So those are the 2 places where I kind of talk about film set world and so.
That's awesome. Yeah. What do you do the rest of your day today?
I have a couple of lights I got to go load into my car, and I got to remember to bring the speed rail for the Dana Dolly.
Don't forget that.
Which I literally last night was like, oh God, I got to take the speed rail too. Fuck, I forgot. Yeah, we're doing a shoot for 2 days, and then kind of settling in for the holidays. Looking forward to taking some time off. This last 3 months has been crazy busy. And once Hollywood took forever to figure out what the protocols were going to be with COVID. But now it's an N95 mask. It's a plastic face shield if you're close to the actor. So we're all back to work, and everybody's been hungry for new content now that we finished the entirety of YouTube.
And what do you think of the vaccine? Any thoughts?
I think it's amazing that they have it ready this fast. Like what a marvel of modern science that at March, this thing drops, and by December, they're injecting it into the first couple of people. I think it's going to be a tool in solving COVID, but I really think rapid testing combined with social distancing, combined with contact tracing, the other thing was we could have just solved this if we were adults. If we all just sat the hell down for 2 months, 45 days, everybody's locked in their house and FEMA's driving food banks around and, people in hazmat suits dropping groceries off. Like literally no one goes anywhere for 40 days. We would have been done. It would have been like, yeah, April and May were the worst ever. And now it's completely gone because, 2 14-day cycles, it's going to cook out. But, don't tread on me. I'm not going to wear a mask. And and now people are losing feet and fingers and, it's not even just the deaths,
Yeah, I think that no matter how long this keeps on going on for, masks are here to stay.
There's a part of me that was always super disgusted when you're in public on a plane and some jerk is coughing like I was always hated the germ. Like I was kind of like one of those people like, dude, in Asian cultures, like there's a little more respect. If you're sick, you put a freaking mask on. It's just common courtesy. So now if some jerk is at work coughing it up, there's going to be a lot more of like, put a mask on, just wear an N95 in the office.
Yeah.
And the other thing too, is like, we're such jerks as capitalists. It's like, it's like, oh, you got to come to work. You only get 2 sick days a year. We're going to partly out. And like, now how about people like they're sick and you don't want to get sick and everybody else is going to be miserable. How about we just send that person home until they're well? Can we just have a human thing? Maybe we're just humans and maybe that's more important, so like that I think is going to shift. I think people realize like, yeah, we're all in this together. If I get sick, you're going to get sick too. So give us more sick days, in the common, in the 9 to 5 world.
Yeah.
What do you think? What do you think about it? Like, what do you think about the vaccine?
Well, I mean,
you like getting beta tested on by the pharmaceuticals with a no sue policy too.
No,
it's like well, we love capitalism, man. It's a ride.
I don't mind taking a shot if it's gonna save my life. I mean, even like months ago when I was talking to people, they're like, well, you want to wear a mask for the rest of your life? I said, if it's going to save my life, yeah, I guess that's the way it's going to go. I'd rather be alive than dead. I mean, and they have like, I don't know, the people's arrogance is like, I mean, it's so divisive. People becoming, very tribalism and all that stuff. And it's just, I think that we're going to organically wrap ourselves around this and transmute it from a negative into a positive, just off the top of my head. And wearing masks are here to stay. I mean, there's no fight to wear a mask. I mean, I don't care. I don't want to see people's faces anyways. It doesn't matter to me. I don't need to see a shield. Don't you want to wear I don't need a welder's mask to go get a 6-pack and some cigarettes. I just go put the mask on, and I'm sure the technology will wrap it around that it's actually even like
the N95s work. I mean, even the surgical masks work, but the N95s protect you well as the rest. But I think with the vaccine, the drag of it is that it is rushed. There's normally a year of animal trials and all of that. The benefits outweigh the cost, like 300,000 dead, there's 9/11 every day, bang, 3,000 dead, 3,000 dead. There's a person dying every minute from COVID at this point. So is the vaccine going to come out? Yes. Is the vaccine going to kill and maim a couple people because vaccine reactions hurt people? Yes, it will. Is that reason to not do the vaccine? No. It's going to be a micro fraction of the damage that COVID's doing on a daily basis. The head of the White House security guy just lost his foot. Right. It's no joke, not screwing around with COVID. So, yeah. And I think is it the polarized conversation going to latch on to the minutia and over amplify the 0.0001% reaction? So yeah, two kids die here and they had a reaction. You're like, that's awful. But the societies itself being vaccinated stops, 3,000 deaths a day. And those are adult conversations that I think are hard for our news media junkie culture to have. There's no nuance in conversation. You can't, like the adults in the room can accurately assess risk, but most people are actually inherently bad at assessing risk. We're bad at math, and vaccines are a math game. You look at how horrible polio was and how crippled people were left. And now there's polio vaccine and, it cured polio. I think we got rid of smallpox or mostly got rid of it. And these were diseases that were just maiming and horrifically disfiguring people. And, they were no joke. And then it's a luxury that, soccer moms can be like, I'm not going to put that in my kid's body, and they're bringing back micro diseases. You're like,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I get it. And yeah, there can be the occasional issues with them. It's not like it's zero, but if you look at the numbers, it's you have to look at it that way. What's best for society? What's best for everybody? It causes the least harm.
Yeah, it's a start.
COVID.
Fun stuff. That's what we're here to do, is make movies and make art and make pretty things and entertain and hopefully elevate the human condition and not die before we're unsatisfied with what our lives were able to do. Okay, DJ Wolfie, can you? Okay,
good to see you, brother.
Good to see you one more time. Tell the people out there how they can get a hold of you one more time, and then we'll wrap it up and I'll edit this stuff with some music and just remind them one more time.
Sounds good. Find me on the website at www.wolfiedop.com. That's WOLFIE and then DOP.com as in director of photography. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. And we'll be in touch. Everyone be safe out there. I'm so glad you don't have COVID, and I'm glad you're well and you're being productive and you're happy. You look great. And I'll be in touch. I'll send you my PDF of that script.
Sounds good. Stay safe out there. Bye.
You too. See you, man. Okay. And don't remind you guys, go to brettwoods.com, BRETTWOODS.com. There you can see my movies, my art. And also, this episode of Brett's with Friends was brought to you by the Pence Fly Hat. Get yours today. Show your, it works good. And get yours today. Go to Brett Woods, go to PenceFlyHat.com. And I'll see you guys soon. This has been episode 15 of Brett's with Friends. And stay safe out there, you guys. Let's talk soon.
Maybe he should be taken to a doctor.
As soon as possible. As soon as possible.